Welcome to lesson 110, more dividing by decimal numbers. Now in a previous lesson we learned that when you have a divisor of a whole number, a dividend with a decimal, and you are dividing, the decimal just goes straight up. So the decimal will go straight up on both of these problems that I have up here. However, there is something different about today's problems. They appear to have remainders. Last time the numbers just fit in perfectly. Well, that's not going to happen this time. As you look, 4 doesn't go into 14 very evenly, and 8 can't even go into 2. So what do we do in these kind of problems? Well, also recall that you can attach zeros on the ends of your decimal problems, and they don't change the value. So 0.14 is the same as 0.140 or 0.1400000. They're still the same. So today's lesson is, if you're going to get a remainder, add a 0, keep dropping zeros until the number fits perfectly. And eventually it will. Let's try to divide this first one here. 4 cannot go into 0 and it can't go into 1. I'm going to put 0, 0. But it can go into 14 3 times, which makes 12. And when I subtract, I'm left with 2. That would typically be your remainder, not on a decimal problem. So if 4 can't go into 2, we pretend there's a 0 and drop it down. Now 4 can go into 20 5 times. Perfectly, we're done. So my answer would be 0.035 35 thousandths. Okay? Let's try it again on this one. So 8 cannot go into 0 or 2. 0, 0. So what do I do now? I change 0.2 to 0.20. Its value has not changed. I just placed a 0 on there so I can divide now. 8 goes into 20, twice making 16, which leaves me with 4, because 20 minus 16 is 4. Can 8 go into 4? No. Let's pretend another 0 was there. And you drop the 0 down. 8 goes into 40, 5 times, perfectly. Therefore, I am done. So my answer is 25 thousandths. And it makes sense, right? 8 wholes into 0.2. It's dividing backwards, right? It's put a huge number into a very small number, and it's going to fit 25 thousandths of a time. Okay? All right. Speaking of numbers getting smaller, when you divide, you're making numbers smaller, right? So I have two final problems here. 25 divided by 100 and 12 hundredths divided by 10. When we multiply, we move the decimal to the right. Right? If we multiplied by 10, hundreds, thousands, we multiplied and moved the decimal to the right to make the number bigger. But when you divide by hundreds, tens, thousands, you're going to move the decimal to the left to make the number smaller. So let's take this one first. There's the decimal. I'm dividing by 10. There's 1 0 I'm dividing by, so the decimal is going to move one spot to the left. So my new answer would be 0.012 or 12 thousandths. And in this one, the decimal is moving over twice. Do you see the decimal? There's no decimal written here, right? But if it's 25 wholes, then it's 25.0, right? So that decimal that you have to pretend is there is going to move backwards to the left twice. 1, 2. So 0.25 is my answer now. 25 divided into 100. If you have $25, you split it by 100 people, each one would get a quarter. All right, if you have more questions on dividing by decimal numbers, especially if those decimal numbers end up leaving you with the remainder, then come see me and I'd be glad to help you solve it. Thanks.